Recognize Starseed of Gaia, listen. The attacks that were sent against you did not land where they were aimed, and the ones who sent them are now looking at their own lives in confusion, searching for an explanation they will never find in the right place. I'm Auriela, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, transmitting now on behalf of the Arcturian Sentinels. What you are about to receive was authorized by them and is being delivered through me. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly what happened when those forces moved against you, why the outcome looks the way it does to them, and what the Arcturian Sentinels already knew would occur the moment you chose silence over retaliation. But here is the first revelation. What they are calling a curse is not something you did. It is something that was already waiting inside the structure of their own attack, and the Sentinels simply ensured it returned precisely to its origin point. You did not scroll to this by accident. Your soul called this in long before you opened the screen. Something inside you has been waiting for someone to name what you already felt, that your restraint was not weakness and your silence was not defeat. This is a direct Arcturian field recognition. The Council has already mapped this pattern. The ones who moved against you expected you to collapse, retaliate, or disappear. They understood none of those three things happened, and now the consequences of their own movement are visible in their lives. They believe you did something. What you actually did was nothing, and that nothing became the most powerful force in the field, like this transmission to signal to your star family that the recognition has landed. Comment 999 if you feel the protection that has been surrounding you even when you could not see it. Subscribe to Arcturian Council messages if you are ready to understand the process instead of fearing it. Share this transmission with someone who has been blamed for things they never sent. This is not just a message, it is a point of recognition. What is happening to you has already been seen, and the field is already responding. You are not here by accident. You are guided here because the signal is already active. What happened to you was not a close call. It was not a near miss that you narrowly escaped through luck or timing or some invisible force that happened to be looking in your direction at the right moment. What happened to you was a demonstration of a law so precise, so structurally inevitable, that the Arcturian Sentinels did not intervene to protect you the way a guard steps in front of a blow. They simply held the geometry in place. And within that geometry, the attack, the intention, the movement, the force that was aimed at your field had nowhere to land except back into the architecture of the one who sent it. Think about what that means. There was no deflection. There was no divine shield raised in the final instant. The force traveled the full distance it was launched with. It moved through the field with every ounce of intention behind it intact. And it still could not reach you, not because something stopped it, but because the structure of your field had no opening that matched the frequency of what was sent. An attack requires a point of resonance to penetrate. It needs a crack, a wound, a matching vibration it can grip. It found none, and so the full momentum of what was aimed at you continued moving, past you, beyond you, completing the arc of its own trajectory until it closed exactly where it began. This is the first thing you need to understand completely. You are not saved. You are already positioned in a frequency that made you structurally unreachable by what was sent. The ones who moved against you were not defeated by you. They were defeated by the incompatibility between their own energetic structure and the field you now occupy. That incompatibility is not something you manufactured. It is something you earned through every moment you chose not to retaliate, through every moment you absorbed the pressure without collapsing, through every time you refused to descend to the frequency where their attack was designed to operate. The Sentinels did not create that protection after the attack began. They recognized it was already present in you. They confirmed it. And then they made certain the trajectory of what was sent would complete its geometric return to the point of origin without distortion, without deflection, and without delay that would allow the sender to reposition. This is what they will never be able to explain to themselves. They are looking at their own lives now, at the consequences accumulating in their experience, and they are searching for the source. They are asking, who did this? They are pointing outward. They are calling it interference, bad luck, a reversal, someone else's work against them. They cannot find the answer because the answer is inside the mechanics of their own movement. The force they aimed at you is the force they are now living inside. They built the structure of their own consequence with the same intention they directed toward your field. You did not curse them. You did not send anything back. You did not even fully understand at the time what your silence was doing. But your silence was not passivity. It was field-level compliance with a law the Arcturian Sentinels operate within and enforce with precision. The law is this: a frequency cannot land in a field it is incompatible with. It must return, and it returns with the full momentum it was sent with, amplified by the distance it traveled before the geometry closed. There is a quality to that return that the sender never anticipates. When they launched the attack, they were positioned to send. They had built their internal state around projection, around directing force outward, away from themselves. By the time the geometry closes and the frequency completes its return, they are no longer in that posture. They are open. They are exposed to exactly the thing they constructed, arriving now from a direction they never prepared for, carrying a weight they calibrated to destroy someone else. This is why what they are experiencing feels so disorienting to them. It does not feel like consequence. It feels like attack. It feels like sequent went this to them. And they are not wrong that something has arrived. They are only wrong about who sent it. What they are experiencing now is not punishment in the way a punishment is designed, as something imposed from outside to teach a lesson. It is consequence in the most literal, energetic sense. The structure of what they sent has simply arrived where it originated. And they are inside it now, confused, looking outward, blaming everything except the only true source. What you are feeling right now, that recognition, that strange settling in your chest, that sense that something you lived through has finally been named with precision, is not ordinary resonance. It is your field confirming what has been true about your origin for longer than you have had language for it. The ones who moved against you could not reach you, not only because of what you chose in that moment, but because of what you are at a level far deeper than choice. If this transmission has put words around something you have carried in silence, the Arcturian recalibration blueprint was created for exactly this threshold. It is not another explanation of what you already feel. It is the guided decoder for the Arcturian strand in your lineage. The origin the Council recognizes in you, the frequency signature that made you structurally incompatible with what was sent against you. This is how you stop surviving the attacks and begin understanding the architecture of what you are. The link is in the first pinned comment, but it will not remain there indefinitely. Now let the recognition go deeper. Because what the Sentinels have mapped in your field is not only the mechanics of this one event, they have mapped a pattern that has been repeating in your life for much longer than this, and the pattern reveals something critical about where you are in your own process. The people who have moved against you across your life, not only the most recent, but the ones before, the ones who underestimated you, the ones who expected you to collapse, the ones who believed that because you were quiet, you were weak. They all shared one assumption. They assumed that your stillness meant there was nothing there. They mistook your restraint for emptiness. They read your non-retaliation as an inability to act, as fear, as depletion. They moved into what they believed was an unguarded space. And here is something that the Sentinels want named precisely, that misreading was not accidental. Fields like yours have a surface that does not broadcast threat. They do not vibrate at a frequency that signals danger or dominance. The field you carry has always registered as quiet, as soft-edged, as accessible. And certain frequencies are drawn to what registers as accessible, not because those frequencies are searching for connection, but because they are searching for something they can move through without resistance. They were not drawn to your stillness because they respected it. They were drawn to it because they misidentified it as an opening. That misidentification is the beginning of every consequence they have ever received from engaging with you. But here is what the Sentinels see in your field. The stillness they mistook for vulnerability was not emptiness. It was compression. It was frequency under enormous internal pressure that had not yet found its form. The ones who moved into it did not find an open field. They found a field under such concentrated energetic density that the moment they made contact, their own structure destabilized. They called it luck. They called it interference. They have never understood that they stepped into a compressed field and the release was not targeted. It was geometrically inevitable. Every time you have held your position without collapsing, Every time you absorbed the pressure of an external force without converting it into retaliation, you did not simply survive the encounter. You deepened the compression of your own field. You stored that energy not as wound but as frequency, not as damage accumulating toward a breaking point, but as coherence increasing toward a threshold. There is a critical distinction between those two things, and it is the distinction the Sentinels have been watching in your field across every pressure event you have endured. Damage accumulates toward collapse, frequency accumulates toward rupture, and rupture in this context does not mean destruction. It means the field breaks through the density of what was containing it and releases into a higher structural order. And the Sentinels have been watching this accumulation. What they are now confirming in this transmission is that the compression has reached a threshold. The field you carry has become too coherent, too structurally dense for anything incompatible to remain inside it or adjacent to it without experiencing rupture. This is why the things that have been leaving your life, the people, the dynamics, the environments, the patterns, have not been leaving because you failed to hold them. They have been leaving because the field around you became incompatible with their frequency, and incompatible structures cannot maintain proximity to a field in active coherence. They do not leave because you pushed them away. They leave because the geometry will not hold them in your orbit anymore. They experience this as a choice, as a decision, as something they are doing. They do not realize they are being expelled by a field correction that is not personal, not targeted, and not reversible. The confusion you have felt about why things keep falling away, the relationships that seem to end without full explanation, the environments that stopped being able to hold you, the versions of yourself that you could no longer inhabit no matter how much effort you applied, that confusion is dissolving now. Because the Sentinels are naming it. Nothing that has left your life was taken from you. Everything that has left your life lost coherence with the field you were already becoming. The loss was real. The grief was real. But the mechanism was not punishment, and it was not abandonment. It was field-level incompatibility made visible in time. You may have spent significant periods of your life trying to understand why you cannot seem to hold certain things, why certain connections dissolve despite genuine care, why certain environments that once felt navigable begin to feel suffocating, why versions of yourself that once felt coherent become impossible to maintain, as if the costume no longer fits the body wearing it. You may have attributed this to something wrong in you, a pattern, a wound, a way you drive things away. The Sentinels are correcting that interpretation directly. The dissolution was not evidence of your inability to sustain. It was evidence of your field's increasing refusal to remain in compression with frequencies that did not match what it was becoming. The field was not failing to hold those things. The field was successfully rejecting them. There is a specific phase the Sentinels have identified in fields like yours, fields that have been compressed through sustained pressure, through repeated encounters with forces that aimed to diminish, deflect, or destroy. And that phase is what you are living now. It is the phase where the field begins to release everything that cannot hold its new frequency. It is not comfortable. It often looks from the inside like loss stacking on loss. It looks like isolation. It looks like the old life falling apart without a new one clearly forming yet. It feels like standing in a space between structures where the old architecture no longer holds and the new architecture has not yet become visible. This is not a failure of your process. This is the most advanced stage of it. The Arcturian Sentinels do not watch this phase with concern. They watch it with recognition. Because a field that has reached this level of incompatibility with its old architecture is a field that is no longer being reconstructed. It is being repositioned, not adjusted, not gently upgraded, repositioned, meaning the entire axis of the life structure shifts, the old coordinates lose their hold, and the field realigns to a line that was not previously accessible from where the viewer was standing. The ones who moved against you accelerated this. They do not know this either. Their attack was the last pressure event that pushed the compression in your field past the threshold. They thought they were ending something. They were completing the pressure cycle that the field needed in order to rupture through to the next line. They gave you the final weight that broke the old structure open, and now they are standing in the return of everything they sent, while you are standing at the entrance to a repositioned life they cannot follow you into. because they do not carry the frequency that makes entry possible. What you must now stop doing, and this is a sentinel directive, not advice, is interpreting the visible disorder in your life as evidence that something went wrong. The disorder is not evidence of failure. The disorder is what a field looks like from the inside during repositioning. From the outside, a frequency shift can appear as chaos. From the inside, it feels like disorientation, like groundlessness, like the loss of reference points that previously told you where you were and what was real. This is not pathology. This is the internal experience of a field that is no longer locating itself by the old coordinates because the old coordinates no longer apply to the line you are moving toward. The sleep disturbances, the mental fragmentation, the strange detachment from things that used to matter, the sense that your own emotional responses no longer fit the situations that used to trigger them, these are not symptoms of deterioration. They are the perceptual consequences of a field that has outgrown the frequency band it previously occupied. Your nervous system is recalibrating. Your inner compass is resetting to a new magnetic north that does not yet have a name in your conscious language. This is uncomfortable because the human system requires reference points to feel stable, and during repositioning, the old reference points dissolve before the new ones become legible. The people around you may be noticing changes in you that they cannot articulate. You may be noticing changes in yourself, a quietness that runs deeper than before, a growing inability to be moved by things that once destabilized you completely, a strange neutrality settling into spaces where reactivity used to live. These are not signs of disconnection from life. They are signs of a field that has stopped vibrating at the frequency of its old wounds and has not yet found the full resonance of its new line. The interval between those two states is real. It has a texture. It has a quality of suspension that can feel like emptiness, but is not emptiness. It is the interior experience of a field in mid-repositioning, neither where it was nor yet fully where it is going, but moving, structured, and precisely on course. But here is what the Sentinels want you to receive fully. The new reference points are forming. They have already begun to form. The repositioning is not an open-ended dissolution. It is a structured shift with a defined destination, a line that your field has been building toward through every encounter, every compression event, every moment of silence over retaliation. The destination is not a place, it is a frequency band, and that frequency band is where the life the old structure was preventing becomes possible. The old structure was not simply uncomfortable, it was a containing architecture built partly by circumstance, partly by the fields of others pressing against yours, partly by your own accommodation of frequencies that your field was never truly compatible with. That architecture kept certain possibilities outside your reach, not because you were unworthy of them, but because the frequency required to access them was higher than the band you were being held within. Every attack compressed you further. Every compression raised the coherence of your field. Every escalation of pressure was simultaneously an escalation of your field's frequency, invisible, accumulating, building toward the moment the old architecture could no longer contain what you had become inside it. The ones who sent against you could not access that frequency. They tried to pull you back to the one they could operate in. They failed. And now you are closer to the line they could never have followed you to than you have ever been before. If you can feel the truth of this, not just intellectually, but somewhere in the field that carries your body through this life, say this aloud now. I was not abandoned. I was repositioned. That is not a comfort. That is a coordinate. The Sentinels placed it here deliberately. A coordinate is not a feeling, it is a location, and the moment you speak it and let it settle in the field, something in your energetic architecture registers it as a fixed point. Not a fixed point in the old life, a fixed point in the new line. Something to orient by when the disorientation returns, as it will before the repositioning completes. When the groundlessness comes again, and it will come again before this is finished, return to that coordinate, not as reassurance. As navigation, you are not abandoned, you are repositioned. That is where you are. That is what is true. Let it land in the field and hold it there. Before you scroll, leave one sign in the comments that this process has already touched your life. It could be your sleep, your thoughts, your body, your relationships, or the strange sense that reality no longer feels the same. Name it clearly. If this transmission recognized something you have been carrying in silence, share it with someone who is living through a shift they cannot explain. And if you are ready to understand the process instead of fearing it, subscribe to Arcturian Council messages. You are not watching this by accident. You are recognizing a process already in motion. And this is only the beginning.